Hey everyone, it's Matt Munson here at the Project Workbench. It's late April today, and the thing I'm working on right now is something that I've had parts for I think like 8 years now, is when I ordered all the parts and supplies to build these. And I know this because when I opened up the box for some of the metal that I ordered, it had my house in Irvine that I used to live in, and that was like 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. So it's been a while. This project has been on the workbench for a really long time now, but I made some great progress tonight. So the drivetrains are, in my opinion, fairly complicated, but our man Mike Senna documented them all really well. So I'm going off some blueprints that I downloaded off astromech.net that show how to shape out the aluminum that's used as the housing and where to drill all the holes and how to put it all together. So a lot of progress tonight, but man, it is unpleasant work. It is not fun. When I built my first R2D2, I had access to a full-size mill and a lathe, and I had all the tooling to go with it. And here I just have a little baby mill and baby lathe, and I'm actually out of end mills. I don't have any right now, and I tell you, if I had some, I could have made really short work of these housings. But as it is, I don't, so I was left to use whatever tools I could find around the workshop. And I tried as hard as I could to rely on power tools, but there were some things that I just couldn't do. So it was just a matter of filing with these files, and it took a really long time. I think I spent about 7 hours on these two little pieces of aluminum. They look great. I'm really happy with them. They're not super precise, but they don't need to be, so I think that's fine. I'm not too worried about it. And they're also never going to be seen by anyone, so they don't need to be cosmetically perfect or anything like that. But I'm almost done. One of them is complete as far as the overall shape goes. I still need to drill the holes for the wheels and the chain and all that good stuff. Well, there's no real holes for the chain, but I gotta drill a bunch of holes. And the second one, I still need to hog out the slot where the wheels actually protrude through. So let's head on into the workshop and I can show you what I've finished so far. All right, so these are the pieces I spoke of. This is the one that isn't finished, and this is the one that is finished. And basically what I had to do was you gotta chop off the ends, you gotta square them off, you've gotta cut these angles that are at 34 degrees, you gotta cut them on both sides, and you gotta kind of get them kind of precise. It can't be wonky. There's a lot of measuring and double checking and cutting, and it's good stuff. And then this big opening here was the one that really took a lot of time and a lot of heartache, and I'm kind of exhausted. And so you can see on the second one, I haven't yet cut that out. I was experimenting on techniques on how to get this aluminum out. And I started just with a grinder, and I was like, I'll do it with a grinder. That'll get it done quick. It didn't. It's really hard, and it's really exhausting. While I've got you, let me show you the tools that I used to get most of this done. Here's one of my best friends, a grinder, and I've got like a fiberglass flap wheel. No, I guess it's not a flap wheel. This is a grinding wheel on it. And those are my reciprocating saw with a torch blade on it that's designed for cutting metal. And this was all, of course, mounted in my vise on my workbench, which is a giant mess right now. I was working on the Batmobile side mechanics, and I've got some molds lying around. And now it's all covered in aluminum filings, so that's great. I used this to do the original cuts on the stock, just to cut it down to size, cut it in half. It was one big piece of stock, and I had to cut it in half. This thing I actually got to do some steel cutting for when I was working on the Batmobile, but also came in handy tonight with the aluminum. It's not super precise. It's got like a friction wheel on it. I think in Mike's videos, he uses a table saw for some of the stuff. And seeing as how I enjoy having all my fingers, I don't own a table saw. And I think if I did, I'd either be dead or missing something. I'm pretty sure of that. So I stick with something like this. It's got a lot of guards, a lot of protections, like you clamp the stock in there. Like I don't want my hands anywhere near that stuff. So something like this came in super handy tonight, but it still needed some refinement after I made the cuts. And then I used my handy dandy Ryobi drill press with one of these bits on it. I don't know what the name of this is, but it's for chomping holes in metal. And so I got my oil here to keep it nice and lubricated. So what I did is I'd punch a few holes in the aluminum here, and then I'd go at it with that reciprocating saw to chop out that big section on the bottom. That was really how I accomplished that, but it was still a giant pain in the butt. Here's my workbench. I guess this is my work table. It's a giant mess. I didn't really clean up after myself as I was working along. Now there's a lot going on this table. All these files came in super handy. My hacksaw, I got a lot of use out of that. There's all kinds of measuring stuff here. I've got this little precision right angle tool, which has got some rust on it. I should probably clean that up. I've got my micrometer here, which I found out isn't super precise. I think that's like a Harbor Freight special or something. So that explains that. I got my trusty ruler, which I get a lot of use out of. And this little gizmo, which is super fun, is for measuring angles. So you dial in the angle you want, and then you use this straight edge here along one of the edges of your metal, and then you can mark it up. So because precision wasn't really required too much for this, it gave me a lot of flexibility, and I didn't really have to pay too close attention. I wasn't using like die cam and marking tools. I was just like using a fine tip Sharpie. I wouldn't recommend it actually, but for my purposes, where the tolerances I just don't really care about, I was able to kind of fudge it with a toothbrush. It's not for my teeth. I use it to like clean out tight little areas. So if I have like filings or shavings, and then the sock is for, I like actually put this on my hand because the aluminum heated up so much. I was wearing these old Craftsman gloves which have some holes in their fingers, so I put the sock on my hand so I didn't burn my fingers, or at least warm them up. Oh, look, face mask. No Rona, thank you very much. All right, so that's pretty much what's going on. I got some water for hydration. Well, let me show you in my fridge. The cupboard is bare. Here's a little restraining bolt so my fridge doesn't wander off. I got some ice. This is like the best bachelor fridge ever. I got ice and an ice pick. And then, yeah, so I've got some pretty good selection here. I've got some water. I've got some spicy mayo, soy sauce, sweet soy sauce, and then I got some salsa, ketchup, and ranch, and some keys. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and over here, this is when I used to be lead singer of a rock and roll band, and this is when we were on the cover of the Azusa Herald. We played their festival called Lollapalooza. That's me, Superman shirt. What was that, 20 years ago? What is this? Well, it's been since, oh man, 1998. 22 years ago. Good grief. Well, thanks for joining me on this tour of the Project Workbench and from my R2D2 update. I'm gonna try finishing that second housing tonight, but I'm just not feeling it. Like, my back is sore, man. Not because I'm old, but because I've been like filing for 6 hours. So I'm gonna try to give it a shot. And curfew's happening right now, so like I can't even get back to downtown until at least 5:30 because we're under curfew right now from 8 to 5:30. So I might head back home because I'm super tired, and from what I hear on the radio, it's calming down a little bit, but I'll double check. Anyhow, as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching my video. You know how it works. Please subscribe to my channel. I'm on Instagram now. I have an Instagram page set up just for the Project Workbench, and it is at the Project Workbench. So check it out. I post stuff there pretty regularly. I'm trying to do a video a week. I don't know how it's gonna last, but I've been having fun doing them recently, and I've really enjoyed it, and apparently you guys do too. So please like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and we will see you for the next one.